right away from the center of this.
And that was really impromptu.
You guys hear that?
Listen, gotta listen. The center of your street, sometimes you'll see the markers in your communities. The city has a 50-foot right away from the center of the street. It's 28 feet from the outside of the curb to the outside of curb there. And then yes sir.
Who owns this? That's not 50 feet.
The city owns it.
That's right. So when we were talking about 15-foot setbacks, that line starts where? Starts right here.
Which is 11 feet.
Which is 11 feet.
Plus 11, plus 28, you get 50. So you are responsible for maintaining this, but you actually don't own the front there.
This is where the lot starts.
Most people don't ever realize that. Yeah.
Yep. This is part of the right-of-way for the city.
The reason the concrete has two different colors is because the city, having the right to come in here and destroy this at any point in time they want to, doesn't want to take the rebar out. So they make you put a 4,000 PSI, and this is pretty standard in Kansas City.
Tell them PSI, you're talking...
PSI.
Pounds per square inch.
Pounds per square inch of pressure, yes. This is typically about 3,500 up here. This is a granite mix, has no rebar in it. They won't allow you to put rebar in, which is genius because you drive through all the old communities and see these things falling down, but cities, we won't get off on that battle.
So it's thicker, right?
It's thicker, yes. This is 6 inches, this is 4 inches. This is tied, it has a web of rebar inside of this, 2 foot on center, tied up here. But the city can come back in if they need to run something through here and tear your approach out. They don't want rebar in there, so they don't have to manage the curled and snarled rebar. So they make you do a 6-inch thick, high PSI mix with granite in it. 50 feet. Go ahead.
Before we leave here, what type of foundations do these two homes have? Remember we talked about that last week? We talked about walkout, daylight.
This one over has a daylight because you can see the windows in the basement.
See the windows, but no. So you
this one is there's no daylight windows. That's called a.
Yeah, these are the three examples. You have a flat lot with a full basement dig. You have a daylight lot, which allows you to have windows in the basement. And the next house down, see it's got the sliding door down there? That's a full walkout. So you have flat, daylight, and walkout.
Yeah.
One other example while we're looking at these decks. Notice 2 of them have no stairs down and 1 does. Another good question that your buyer might want, stairs down. Sometimes they don't want stairs down. So it would be different costs.
And for deck stairs going down on a daylight or walkout, you're talking around between $600 and $1,000. $600 to $1,000.
And here's the green space we talked about earlier too with the walking trail.
And that's what's called big deck.
Did you talk about the saw cuts at all?
Oh, curb cuts. No?
Yeah.
Very good idea.
Yeah, we can maybe nice job.
Well, no, I have
Oh, there you go.
we use this house when we get down here. And the curbs, you want to talk about the curbs? Okay.
Curb cuts.
Listen up.
Education. We have expansion joints in here and saw cuts in here, so you can go through the free saw cycle. You're talking about the property line cuts? Yes, sir. Okay. We do a curb cut. All engineers curb cut these, and that's the start of the property line there. You'll go down here about midway and you'll find another one. If you go through our community, you'll find that they're marked with the lots on them.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let me ask you, Mr. Builder, why is that encroached on the other side of that line?
Their lot shoots to the left like that. All lots will shoot different like that. Some are pie shaped, some are inverted pie shapes, which will mess with your side setbacks also. And here we have 7-foot side setback. Typically it's about 7.5 feet, so you have roughly anywhere from 15 to 20 feet between the houses, depending.
That's the other thing we talked about last week is Leewood has 12 feet to the lot line, so their homes are 24
14.
feet apart.
They have 14.
Well, 12, it's 12.
28.
It's 12.
7
no,
feet.
The 12?
Which all adds cost to the home.
24. That's right.
Depending on where you go. If you go to Leewood, you've got that much more space you have to develop and build.
These are all
okay, hold on. I had a question. So the cities determine what the setbacks are. To some extent, the cities determine what the minimum setbacks are.
Minimum.
Those are minimums. So here, the minimum is 7 or 7.5 feet.
7 on. Yeah.
7 on. So you're 14 feet apart is the most density you're allowed in the city of Overland Park to put in. Now they may go out and put in acre lots to where you have a 30-foot setback.
It's
but
up to
that's
you as
the
a
minimum.
builder to place that house on there appropriately.
It's the minimum.
So it looks
Minimum.
good. Yeah.
How important is it to have the, whenever you're having when building a brand new community, how important is it for your buyer to have a physical survey done of the lot?
We do it on the front side. That's what I was talking about earlier. Pre-construction meeting. The survey that we do is a plot plan. We have pre-construction meetings. We have them sign off on it. We go over every detail, minimum low openings to final grade,
Okay,
etc.
I understand that, but it's just
It depends on their lender.
Hey,
Most,
hey, hold on.
about 70.
Let's keep it to one conversation, guys.
I'll just
So-
give you an example.
Yeah.
Okay, I sold a house that was on Model Row. Okay, all the models came in. Everybody laid the sod. They went by the saw cut. And then they had another 2 feet of sod that was laid down. The sprinkler guy came in, put the sprinkler right where it was. The fence guy came in, put it right where it was, and guess what? They were 2 feet off, and it was because they didn't have a physical survey done that could have been taken care of.
Can I interact
So,
a little? It was also because they replanted.
Yes, but I'm just saying that I really think, especially if it's the first house that's been built, it's going to cost your buyer about $300 to have a physical survey done, and it's worth every penny.
Yeah, that's fine.
A stake
Well,
survey.
and that's the builder's fault for not paying attention to where the irrigation
Right,
system.
but it
and
shouldn't. But it'll be your buyer's fault once he's bought it.
Michelle, how much
I
did you
wouldn't.
say
I
it was?
put it back on the builder immediately.
Yeah, well,
But typically what happens is that people don't have the money to, or the wherewithal to go after that builder, and the builder delays and all that kind of stuff. So
Very good.
It is a good point to.
There are many builders that did not do that good of a job, and a few of those have gone to the wayside now. So you got some pretty good builders that are left now.
Okay, let's
We're short
go
on
move it on down.
no, that's a good point.
The reason why I said that is that we're really short on time.
Also, about 75% of your lenders require a final survey too.
Who does?
About 3/4 of your lenders.
Lenders.
Your lenders.
Here we go.
On new construction, because they really don't require it on other things. But on new construction, you find that the lenders do require that?
About 3/4 of them do. Yes. Require a survey done on the house.
So here's your curb cut.
Curb cut again. Typically, what you're going to see is the pedestals, the electrical pedestals on back, will be the termination point between the two lots. You can see a stake back there with the flag on it. That'll be the corner property line of that. Same thing over there. We'll match that up.
Does everybody see the pedestal he's talking about?
It's electrical pedestals, the green
Green box.
Yes.
Right.
cable box.
Sometimes the developers put them in the front, everybody, and then it's not as appealable to the buyer if they're in the front. But a developer does it to save money sometimes.
Well, and also it depends on what's underneath the soil. There might be rock and things like that.
That's just what I'm talking about, though. See how they laid the
Same
sod
thing.
over at least a foot, and if somebody comes and puts a fence there, it's a foot over.
Yeah, I would err to the side of laying more sod at this point in time. That stuff does happen. We're back to our driveways with a couple different concretes. These are expansion joints in here to reduce cracking a little bit. This is a true expansion material between these two. Because we're not tying rebar in, we need to let it go through the freeze-thaw cycle and have it out there also.
Chad, real quick.
Yes.
What does everybody know what this and that is? Those fences? Silk fence?
Siltation fencing.
Why?
So the soil doesn't.
Erosion. The city will make you. There are certain cities like Lenexa that will fine the builder
Yeah.
if he doesn't have it up,
So
or
that's
the
up to
developer.
code for the city too to put that in.
Silt fence.
Hi, how are you? You showed us off here.
Siltation fencing. Most municipalities require that. We've got straw wattles over here.
Did everybody hear that?
What?
Straw wattles over there accomplish about the same thing, just a little more aesthetically pleasing, especially you can see what happens.
They're both types of erosion control.
Correct me if I'm wrong. On that lot, that's a developer responsibility because he still owns it.
That's correct.
On this lot, whose responsibility is it?
builder.
Because the builder now owns it. So it'll switch, it'll go from developer to builder depending on who owns the lot.
It's probably
Actually,
about
it's-
70 cents a linear foot.
Actually, it's the developer's responsibility till the house is moved into.
But the developer puts it on the builder.
Yeah, puts it on the builder.
Most builders will sign an agreement as far as the
How
SWIPs.
far did these go down?
How far does what go down?
That, what you call that?
Just to the lot line.
The straw wattles?
Are
Oh,
they
it's
just as
just
I
laying
see
on
them?
top.
They're
It's
laying on
superficial.
top.
It's very superficial.
What type of roof we got?
Composition.
30 year?
30 year.
Okay. What's this here?
Stucco.
How many years is that roof?
What's this?
You said it's 30 years.
Smart trim. Smart trim.